Yeah.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock, Tuesday, July 30th already. Let's begin the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, how about a roll call, please?
Here.
Here. Okay, let's sign the journal and approve the minutes. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, old business.
The only thing I have under old business, the Chaplains Corps is anxiously ready to sign the lease. They have accepted the terms that had been given, and they have all the insurance stuff worked out, the payments for the utility bills and everything. So they are asking we get the signed today, because apparently they have a grant that they need to have the lease done before they can fill out for that grant. That's due by the end of July. So they were looking for a August 1st date, and we worked hard to get this ready to go. So I have
So that's a 1 year with a automatic renewal pending. Line of business was was not
yep.
change or whatever.
Yep, I think they did like a 1 year, 1 month to get us on a July, August date. But then after the first year, it's 5 years. If that's okay.
5 years, but every year's got a year.
Yeah, we have an out clause.
We have an out clause,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
And the only reason for that is if they would change their mission or change their direction, that we felt that it wouldn't be conducive to a county facility, that we could have the opt
Yep.
to ask them to leave. But as long as they stay within that, I would certainly not have a problem with them continuing.
Okay, there was just a couple, this is just the draft, Amy at the prosecutor's office got to change a couple sentences, so she'll send the original overlay this afternoon. They have the resolution prepared. A resolution authorizing the lease agreement between the Seneca County Board of Commissioners, Seneca County Community Chaplains Corps for the old youth center building located at 3481 South Township Road 151, effective July 30th, 2013.
Okay, is there a motion for that?
Make a motion that we approve that resolution as stated there.
I will second.
Okay, any discussion?
I think it is a great use of county property that has been really abandoned by the county, but instead of just having cost to tear it down to the county, it can be utilized by other people in the county that the county benefits from, that they offer services to the county residents. So to me, it's a win-win. Win saves us money from tearing it down, win because we get some benefit from them, and win for the chaplain group. So
Appreciate that.
one of the few things that makes
Prosecutors
sense.
being able, and you guys, whoever here worked on this to turn it around in the time frame because we weren't expecting that, so it wasn't on a radar, but yeah.
Okay. Hopefully it works out for them. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes. All right, any other old business?
Just a reminder, Tuesday's board, we will be moving to 1:30 due to the Attica.
Okay, so we're
Fair.
going to the Attica Fair, and you all got the letter. They want us there between 8:30 and 9, so I don't know if we want to gather here 8 and head over, or does that give us enough time to get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll gather here at 8, and then from there, we'll eat some candy apples and go to Huron County at
How about
11:30.
caramel?
I like
Caramel
this.
apple.
I like this job.
Because Huron County's at 11:30, and then be back here at 1:30 for our regular meeting. And then at 5 o'clock at OSU for their meeting.
Busy
Right?
day.
Yeah, busy day.
What's the OSU thing?
That is not really our meeting, that's their advisory group, or their board, I guess. And since they're getting 2 new people next year, at least they're losing their 2 people that they have, they want us kind of there for.
Kind of to hear how they come up with what positions they
Yeah, or
fill,
maybe
whether
they'll-
they're educator positions or, coordinator
This-
positions, that kind of stuff.
This is over Fremont?
No, this
it's
is, I assume right out at the OSU, at the Ag Building,
They're in the same building with soil and
the old
water.
nursing home up above.
They're in the soil and water building.
Oh, soil and water building, okay. And that's
Yeah.
at 5, right?
Yes. Yes. The way it works is we give OSU a certain amount of dollars per year, and then they get a match from the state and maybe some other sources, and then they choose where it goes, but they do like our input.
And that's at 5, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
I have a commitment at 6, but that's
Okay.
where.
All right, that it from you, Nicole?
The only thing I have is, we got an email yesterday that there is the Seneca County, it says board meeting, but it's for Farm Bureau,
Okay.
is the 1st, August 1st, and that's at 8 o'clock. And then there is the annual meeting on August 28th, and that starts at 6, and then the dinner's at 6:30, and both of those I put on the calendar. I had asked her for the time, so. but then-
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask about the Farm Bureau one, because I thought it was on there at a later date.
Yeah, it was at
Or
like
later time.
10:30.
Okay.
But I had to wait for her to get back with me on the time for it, so it is at 8 o'clock on the 1st.
Now, you kind of set that first one up, didn't you? Is that their quarterly?
Yeah, well, they meet monthly. They said
Monthly.
they wanted to let us know when their monthly meetings were, so I told them if they got it to the office, it'd get on the calendar. They don't expect us to be there, but they just said if
Mhm.
somebody wants to come once in a while to, just listen in and hear their
Mhm.
things, or if
Mhm.
we have something we would want to share with that group, we're
Uh-huh.
more than welcome any other monthly meetings to do so.
Okay, okay. I thought,
So-
I couldn't remember quite how that went.
Yeah.
Now, the annual meeting, is there a formal invitation for that? Did we get a?
All I got was the email.
And it was in the, see, they're combining it with Soil and Waters.
Oh.
And I think Soil and Water had it in maybe their newsletter or something.
Oh.
I don't know, somebody hit me up, I already bought tickets, but I don't.
haven't-
And so I have it on the calendar, but yeah, they're combining the two,
Is that out at Sentinel?
I believe so.
That I.
What's the date of it again? It's
The
the,
28th.
That's less than a month away, okay. All right, good enough. Anything else from you? Holly?
not,
Old business?
not old business, no.
Really? Okay, I don't have anything either. New business.
New business, I have bill voucher 88. I have resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $151.58 from equipment to contract services. This is at the request of the clerk of courts. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $943.50 from workers' comp to equipment and $1,500 from workers' comp to contract services. The first appropriation adjustment is the plaque, the dedication plaque that, and actually it was the previous board that had approved to help split the cost with Judge Meyer on this plaque, and they were just now getting ready to order it. They put their money in place last week, and this was our half of the money that I said agreed to last year to put in. The 1,500, we wanted to bring this up. The Park District, we had agreed with them a few years ago. They came in and asked the general fund if we could give them some money, more donations or something like that. And at the time, we were getting close on our budgets, so we said, if there's anything recycled you would need, we bought them signs, different things to try to help them out. Also, that they had a copier downstairs in the basement of the RTA that wasn't working. So at the time, we had agreed to, you need the little fold-up flyers that they put around, we would make copies. We'd been doing good, never went over our quota, but the last year and a half, we've been exceeding our quota on this. But it is helping out the Park District, they're asking for a little bit more. So this is gonna run, that's what the additional 1,500 is for, because we're getting into, starting to run over our allowable on our machine. So it's causing it to go over. So we may have to either talk to them, adjust our lease or something, or, this was our way to help out the Park District when we couldn't give them any money. So we've just been making copies, so.
And we like the way it's our toner is built into our lease for the copy machine, but we get charged $14.50 every time they have to send us toner for the shipping costs. And it seems like now, and they're asking for like, it's usually 200 to 300 each time they get just one brochure, and they have 5 or 6, and now they have one that's 5 pages. So every time they get one, we're ordering ink. And it seems like we've done it a lot in the past 2 or 3 months. So we've had a lot going out.
As the park district grows, which it's doing, we may not be able to offer the services that we've offered in the past, is what.
And maybe it's just a better idea for them, instead of doing separate brochures, because they have all these separate ones, but then they have one that has all of them included into one, is what this booklet is. So maybe they're trying to get rid of all the separate ones and just keep the booklets so they're all there in one. I don't know.
Can we, oh, I'm sorry.
Every time it's like one person will change something, so we have to print out all new ones again because they changed the owl that was on the front or something.
But they do use them, they don't throw them away,
Yeah,
they
they
do
use
use them.
Yeah, they use them, they just,
Can we put a limit perhaps on?
Yeah.
We'll
Cap it.
print up to a certain amount, whatever
Yeah.
you guys think is what we've done in the past, maybe?
yeah, it's always been 2 to 250, I guess. But now I guess he has Convention and Visitors Bureau asking for some as well. So it's not only Park District, but Convention and Visitors Bureau asking him for the brochures too. is
Maybe
what
we
he
just
said.
ask the Convention and Visitors Bureau to see if they can print out their own, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can calculate it and see what our max allowable is, and then we could, put a cap on it if we needed to.
That would be my suggestion. What's the board, have any thoughts?
And whatever the cost difference is, if we had to adjust the number
Mm-hmm.
were allowable, that puts us at a more economical package with the copier people.
Right.
And if that difference is something they would want to pick up, I mean, I don't know, that's something to weigh out too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because that might be minimal compared to,
Right.
Good point.
yeah,
Yeah, because we're definitely helping them save money just using
Yeah.
our copier. And that
still
was-
would probably be a better deal than them having to
Yep.
take it somewhere else or rent a copier or lease
It's
a
a good point, if they would make up that difference on the
Difference.
copy
Right,
lease,
and
that would be.
yeah, because it might make for a better price overall, if that can be done.
Anything else from you, Nicole?
That's all I had to say.
Let's see, no, wait, what were we on?
This
I've
was
lost
just the
track
second
already.
resolution.
All right, I'm sorry.
Right there.
I was doing old business all over again.
I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund. This is at the request of the Board of Elections, moving $808.16 from travel to other expense. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the Community Development Block Grant FY11 Fund 196, moving $117.80 from salaries to PERS. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Delinquent Real Estate Tax Fund 021, moving $4,234.80 into salaries, $461 into supplies, $105.42 into contract repairs, $592.88 into PRS, $61.41 into Medicare, for a total $5,455.51.
Does that get Mr. Alt's
Yes.
passbook straightened out? Okay.
Yes, and he's asking for an adjustment on, like a reverse entry for the error in the books that,
Okay.
so,
Good.
but that will take care of it. He was supposed to be using his street tax fund, and it just accounting error, and it pulled out of the wrong fund.
Okay.
I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Road 20, County Road 36, County Road 62 pavement resurfacing. The date is Tuesday, August 20th at 10:30 a.m. here at the Seneca County Commissioner's Office. I have a resolution accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with M&B Asphalt for the Issue 1, Round 27, 2013 Seneca County Township Road Reconstruction Program OPWC 1301. And I have a couple other things to bring up. I have an appropriation adjustment for moving $5,713 out of a workers' comp to equipment. When Mark had sent up his request for the computer, the other quote, I thought he had brought up the scanner in here. It was actually the software the tax map needs for that computer. With the new systems and with the new GIS, it's got to be updated. So I told him I'd bring it up today. I didn't think it would be an issue, but it was a quote, and I thought it was the scanner quote that got hit by the lightning. So I just kind of missed it. So that's what that one is. And I have a request from the prosecutor's office. I think I emailed you his request last week. Basically, he has two decent vehicles that he uses at the prosecutor's office that has been donated or given to us. I think Fostoria had one.
I think they were seized, at least
Seized,
the
yes.
one was donated, sorta.
Yeah.
Unwillingly
donated. And what he's asking, they're not reliable. He actually was telling me about bringing the one car home that it died on him like 6 or 7 times trying to get it home, and he always had to hold the gas and the brake at the same time so it wouldn't die. So they try not to use that. They do use our cars when all possible, but what he would like to do is take 2 of these and trade it in. He actually went to a couple of the dealerships and he found one. It's a 2011 Equinox. It's not a huge vehicle, but it's big enough that if, 2 or 3 of them need to go and they need to take some stuff in the back, they can go. We do have funds. We've paid our workers' comp for the year, so we have funds available to move. We could either pull it out of the workers' comp or our contingencies. We usually use that for those one-time expenses that wasn't put into the budget because it was an unexpected expense. So,
What's the difference between the trade-in and the new one?
let's see, trade-in. Let's see, selling price. Trade-in allowance was $12,500 for both the vehicles, and balance due would be $8,000.
That's for a new one?
It's for 2011. Yep. So I have ready a resolution, an appropriation adjustment for $8,000 moved from workers' comp to equipment. Again, this was for the prosecutor's office, if you don't have any objections to that.
Okay.
And I think that's all I have.
Is there a motion on those resolutions?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion on any of them? Can you roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes. Okay, any more new business?
No?
I was talking with Stacy the other day, and it kind of bothers me that, all of a sudden we get kind of blindsided on vehicles for the county. I would really like to see a complete inventory, and I know that the sheriff's not ready to propose this yet, but apparently there's 2 vehicles he's gonna need next year. And I would like to, I know from a business perspective, I always like to see an inventory of all our vehicles and a life expectancy of them so that we can start budgeting towards that versus having these things. I hate these contingency funds or this. It's, you need to plan on these things, and if we got 50 vehicles with the county and the life expectancy of each one of them and so forth, that we can kind of plan ahead and know this year we're going to have to buy 2 vehicles, this next year we're going to have to buy 4 vehicles, whatever the situation is, versus all of a sudden get blindsided with it because heck, anymore a vehicle is $30,000 to, so I would like to see some sort of assessment made of that and list department by department and what vehicles they have and the age, and the department head, the list what they feel when each one's gonna have to be replaced. So we
Okay.
can start a spreadsheet on that and then put that into the budgeting process when we go every year. That would be my preference. Versus, again, I hate contingencies. It's,
At least maybe the general fund stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried about the engineer, you know, he kind of keeps track of his own, but.
yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah, that's a good point.
The general fund stuff.
Yeah.
That would be,
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
We used to try and get the sheriff like 2 cars a year, and some years you do and some years you don't. This year we didn't, but he bought one out of
FOJ?
FOJ. Okay, that all from you?
Yeah,
Anything else?
at this point, yeah.
Okay, you have some new business?
Just this, I know we probably all got the copy of this from the Area Agency on Aging on this awards thing
Mhm.
on the 20th of August. And
What is
there's
it?
The annual awards, the Ohio District 5 Area Agency on Aging, and there is a couple from Seneca County being recognized. I assume they have somebody from the county every year.
I think so.
By the way I read this, but
I think they will.
I am able to go, and so I guess I think we need to make sure we're there
Mhm.
for them to representing the county, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we've in the past have done a resolution or have something to go by to work something up on that.
We'll probably
Take
take
something along, they
Proclamation.
suggest that,
Yeah.
Some sort of
Yeah.
proclamation.
but I can go that day if that,
Okay.
no one else wants to or can.
Yeah, you could probably just call them and get a bio on this couple.
Right, yeah, be good. I don't know the couples, it'd be nice to have some information on it. I don't know if they know they're being recognized, I have no idea how that all works, but,
I think they do.
Okay.
I think they do. I did it one time as a state rep, and I think they know ahead of time.
okay. All right, that's all.
Okay, I don't have any new business. Are you folks from the dog warden and auditor ready for your? Well, we're a little early. Okay.
God, Julie with that orange jumpsuit there. Just escaped from the sheriff.
That would be juvenile, right?
Every time you come over, Julie, they get you a something.
I don't know what to say.
What do you say to that?
Oh, it does, it looks like.
I need color.
It's that color, it's that color.
I asked both Julie and Kelly to come up. They have passed new legislation regarding the dog licenses fees, and I know Kelly had a couple recommendations, which I sent to Julie as well on how we can possibly do this. So I asked them both to come up. We have until like the end of August to make sure we get our fees put in place. So I've asked Julie and Kelly both come up. That way we can see what they think and what their direction, or what they think
My
we should
understanding,
do.
the state now is gonna mandate that we do a 3-year license as well as the single-year license, is that?
So they could do, dog owners can do either or.
Yes.
A 1-year, a 3-year, or a permanent license.
Or a permanent, okay, I didn't realize, and we have to do some sort of resolution before August 31st, so whatever you guys wanna present, feel free.
I have nothing.
She was just
I have-
coming over to
Okay.
listen to see. I
Do they
think-
have model there's
They-
model legislation somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah, it will, well, by default, and correct me if I'm wrong, and we were talking about that, by default, it'll go to what are, based off our annual, which I assume is probably adequate, unless I don't think that Kelly was thinking she needed it, or anything different in that, which is $15, right?
Yep, so
And so it would go by that, so the 3-year would be 15 times the 3,
Yep.
and for the permanent, they'd base it on a 10-year.
Yep.
So that would be the amount automatically, and if we wanted anything otherwise, like I said, a resolution has to be put in place. So I know, I just saw it, I don't know if I did, I originally thought the default went to what the code requires, which is $2 unless you said it otherwise, and that doesn't come close to, $2 annual fee doesn't come close to covering the cost of doing the licensing and all that, so as our county is, probably, I don't know if we're in the average of where most of them charge for the annual, but kind of looked that way, so,
I think we were just gonna pass it just to make sure.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't
Right.
gonna hurt to pass it again, just to
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't default back, but
right.
Do you have any
Just wanted to-
recommendations, Kelly, or anything?
It's gonna be hard for the permanents to track because after that 10 years of the dog license,
we won't receive any money. So if your lab lives to be 15, so that's 5 years, you don't have to purchase a dog license. For us, it's gonna be a lot of tracking, your permanent license, because we're not gonna receive any money 10 years from then. Are you gonna remember to buy another dog license? My thoughts were on the permanent tags, maybe enter in the dog's name. There's nothing requiring in the law that they be microchipped or anything along that line. So it's gonna be hard for us to track if, you buy a black lab and then you get a black lab as a puppy, that those are two separate dogs. So mine's just mostly tracking problems is what we're gonna have.
But yeah, we have no choice but to offer it, is
Yeah,
that
we have
the way,
to.
yeah, that's the way I understood it, yeah.
The state mandates we have to, because, I could see a problem with a permanent,
Right.
thing, but that's mandated by the state, and it's
Right.
just what it is,
There's
it
no
is.
changing it, right.
Yeah, just changed it. No.
And the one county, I believe, Kelly, you had shared that information about the tags, because obviously the inventorying of tags and having different tags available, but I thought what some of those other counties were doing made a lot of sense. And I don't know if we can explain all that, but it was a matter of buying the 3-year tag to be the color that 3 years out would be using. So because I'm assuming they're printed on demand as needed kind of thing. I don't know how that, they come with the county name on it and all this stuff. But they had some suggestions through your network of ways to deal with that, because that is gonna be some additional cost up front. And then how some of that money's, because some of it's used for dog and kennel,
It's all done.
it's all dog and kennel, but how they were gonna put some of it aside when they bought a 3-year and put it back in. There was something in that.
One of the counties was gonna do that. They were gonna take the 45 and distribute it 15 this year, 15 this year, 15
Right,
this
and
year.
that's how I'd
So you
like to
didn't
do
have
ours.
a shortage a couple years from
Because I'm
now.
afraid the public's going to see, we have a large carryover here, but we have many permanent dog tags.
Yeah,
So we'll
that would be-
have 10 years worth of money, say this year, so we're gonna look at that and say, oh, we have this big, huge amount of money. So if it's not separated by year, then people aren't gonna understand there's really not that amount of money there. That's for the next year's, the operating cost for future years.
So that can that be done, Julie? Can that be
Well,
separated?
I just got that email last night where
Yeah,
the
that's
county's
for 16.
proposing it. I don't know that we can do that. I've already kind of come up with some guidelines on how we will be reporting it. We'll basically have 4 lines of revenue. We'll have a permanent license line of revenue, we'll have current year license revenue, multi-year license, and then we also track online, just so at a glance we see how much revenue comes in that way. So legally, I don't know if you can do what that county is proposing.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Well, there'll be some way to earmark it for a future year.
But it would be in the multi-year line,
Mm.
revenue line, so it would be shown distinct
Okay.
as to that
Would you have that
source.
broke down by years?
Every year, it would show.
Okay, so let's say they go the permanent license, and so much is in 15, so much is 16, so much is 7. No, it'll be so much in future years.
It would just be reported in that revenue line for the current year, because
And
it is a current year receipt.
I guess it'd be a real trial the first year, because will many take advantage of that or not? Because it's an outlay up front.
Yeah, you would think that's
Yeah.
$150.
Plus if you have 2 or 3 dogs.
Yeah, depending on how
State
many.
likes to make our lives difficult. Seems to me what we have was working.
Yeah. So,
So,
Okay, well, you can prepare the resolution then based on,
Based on the
you don't have it
$15
ready
annual
today.
and-
well, Nikki drafted it up, but we don't have to do it, don't have to do it today if you guys.
Well, if this is what we want, we can do it today. Is this
I don't see we're really
agreeable?
gonna be getting choice, do we?
Yeah, we have to have something passed by the end of August, because we have no choice but to sell a permanent and a 3-year, right?
Right.
Okay. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a resolution declaring the 2014 dog license fees, 1-year, 3-year, and permanent license fees for Seneca County. The 1 year is $15 per dog, 3 years, $45, and permanent dog license fee is $150. She's also added the kennel fee, $75, and which is all in her other fee resolution, so she included it. OSU College of Veterinary Medicine, 10 cents 1 year, 30 cents 3 year, and $1 permanent per ORC.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? I just make sure the newspapers know we're not raising license fees in any way. It's just offering more years.
It was in the budget, though.
And again, Julie, we're limited on how we can utilize or expense those funds. I mean, you can just put it in future years, but not break it down. I mean, we gotta make sure that,
It'll be reported in that revenue
Yeah.
line for multi-year. So,
We'll have to make sure we don't spend it all the
Yeah,
first
I mean,
year.
that's just-
Yeah.
And there ought to be a way to track that somehow, that we spend 1/10 of the permanent or 1/3 of the 3-year or something.
yeah, but in the third or fourth year, you get very complex, you know.
Yeah, you'll buy a permanent one this year, I'll buy one next year, she'll buy one the third
Mhm.
year, and then just
Yeah.
keep. All right.
Yeah. Did they ever give you an answer yet about if you can do the transfer of tags? I know we talked about it, like if you lose,
Oh,
my
for
dog tends to
duplicates?
chew on his tag, if we've gotten an answer whether that's,
the way I understand the law is that for a duplicate
Duplicate,
license,
yeah.
for a permanent,
yeah,
it's still a $5 cost. They didn't address that in the change.
okay. That way of saying.
And just for timeline, because I know we have new commissioners, this will be for sale starting December 1st for the 2014 tag.
Okay.
That's when they go on sale.
Oh, okay.
I have just an unrelated question. I was happened to been out by your place today, and I noticed we have 3 vehicles for the dog work. Do we need that many?
We had 3 deputies at one time. We've never hired a third person.
Is that a vehicle that we want to liquidate from the county? Or can it be utilized by another county agency? I found it,
We
we got
actually-
two people out,
There's 2 of us, right?
2 with 3 vehicles.
We do use all 3 of them. Like the Ranger is a 4-wheel drive, so we'll use that a lot in the winter time. The 2 bigger trucks we use obviously for food, for pickup dogs, but we can pick up dogs in all 3. We rotate them between the 2 of us regularly. We're not looking to purchase new vehicles this year, but in the future we will. I think our vehicles right now are 8 to 10 years old.
I just look at it from insurance, just operations. We got insurance on all 3 vehicles if we're not utilizing them, and if we're not using them, get rid of them. And again, with 2 people to have 3 vehicles, I don't think that's necessarily the best thing we want to do. So I don't know, how do we go about liquidating things, or see if other county departments, I understand what you're saying, it's nice to have 3, and I understand the Ranger, what you said, but then you got 2 larger vehicles.
Tell you what, let's vote on this motion that's on the floor first. and
Okay,
then we'll
okay.
go to that. Roll call.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes. I guess my thought is, if you're using them and you feel that I wouldn't buy 3 if we only have 2, but if you've got 3 and you feel that that's beneficial to you, I don't have a problem with that. But as we replace, we'll probably get down to 2.
Right.
Does the prosecutor want it? I'm just Maybe he needs that cage in the back, I don't know.
So they're completely equipped out. All 3 of them are completely equipped.
Yeah, as I
out.
say, you've got that
Use.
expense in them, and I don't know how
Right.
likelihood that
And
makes
if one
them
of them
to.
broke down today, I would not go out and buy, like if one was completely totaled out, I wouldn't buy to replace the third one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Something to think about, I guess. Well, think through it, I guess, look at the insurance aspect of it, I don't know how much that is, and if it amounts to a lot, based on our policy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Couple $100. I mean, it's not a lot. I just
Yeah,
look
it's a
at it
good point,
more,
it's a good point. We need to-
I look at it more that if another county department could utilize it, that it's just resource or an asset for the county that's not being utilized. It's-
And I think we've kind of brought that up once before, that if the general fund could purchase it for maintenance, because some of their trucks are getting really bad, but
Oh, yeah.
It's just
That
figuring out, you know.
Maroon one that drive around town.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But
And
we mentioned it, but we've never looked into it. We probably would have to,
I don't
come
want
up with
to
an.
speak for the dog warden, but I think she's always wanted us to hire a third person, and we never have. So
Well, if we get rid of the truck, then maybe she won't ask for it then.
All right, well, let's give that some thought then.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up, she had given us a on-call policy and has updated it a couple times with some recommendations and that all three of you had given me to put into, and I think I sent it to you maybe a couple of weeks ago, didn't know. Figured why she's here, if there was any questions on it, if you guys were okay with it, we can.
I guess I thought we approved that already. We
Oh,
didn't, didn't we? Okay.
no, there was a couple changes that I know Hollywood had made that we got changed, just clarifying some of the wording in it, and I can send you the final copy, and I can get a draft resolution for next board session, we can approve it.
Did anybody have any questions
You had any
about that
questions
at
while
this
she's here?
point?
No, I think she answered mine when I fired back some comments and stuff, so that was fine.
Okay, well, we'll get that ready for next
Okay.
board session then.
Yep.
Anything else from dog warden, auditor? All right, thank you very much for coming. Mr. Reed, would you like
Gotta follow the dogs.
You know what, that's a good thing, that's a good thing. My wife says sometimes I'm going to the dogs, but I don't. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to come back. I've been on your roofs, I've been in a lot of places. I want to just kind of give you a little bit of an update, overview of where we are, where you are, and what the future looks like. I want to talk about four things today. I'm talking about controls that we're putting in the system. I'm going to talk about the HVAC system over at the CSB, which has some other componentry to it, lighting, and roofing, roofs that we're going to deal with. I'll start with the controls because it's the biggest element of your project and what you've got. Basically, the contract with Warner Mechanical is lit. Part of that contract is to install the controls throughout a number of buildings in the county. Materials are ordered. The project will start for those jobs on August 19th, and I have a schedule I'm glad to share with you. Everybody gets a copy. This tells you basically where they be at working, doing things. The key element to this is, since controls are, it's the functionality that's going to allow you to save the money that you want to use, that you want to save in doing this project. There are some major components here. The jail is a big part of the project. If you remember, you have a contract with Honeywell, which basically tomorrow is its last day of force. It's been out of force at that point in time. We being Palmer, if you have any issues, will carry you through until the controls are all installed. So I'll make sure that if you have a problem, it will make sure that you're taking care of it. You don't have an issue out there. So I'll leave my card, and you'll be calling.
I got a couple.
We do have people who will take care of it. We understand that we have a window between the end of this contract with Honeywell and when the other contracts will be installed. Basically, the CSB project is the one that everybody knows about because that's the HVAC system, but it is also a big part of the controls. And part of the work in CSB will be putting in some what are called VAV boxes, distribution air ducts in the various areas. We will do that before the air conditioning goes in. And the reason for that is those particular devices, what we've done is we've bought some devices and they have some special controls. We sent the controls to the factory and said, put these controls on your device, and then send it back to us in total. What that does is out in the field, the contractor just drops it in, puts 2 wires to it, it's good to go. So it saves a lot of time, saves some breakage, and makes things work. From our controls perspective, we just go right to it and make it work. So we did a little little workaround and say, let's make it work that way, and it seems it'll be a better situation. I'm gonna take you to the jail for just 1 second. The Honeywell equipment we're gonna take out, we're gonna grab that stuff, put it in a capture it and make it up nice and neat and deliver it to them after we've made all the changes. That way you have continuity on your operation out there. My biggest concern is that they by their contract, on the 30th of July, tomorrow, they come in and just rip it all out. But we sent them a letter and saying we would remove it, we will stack it, store it, and deliver it to them. They didn't respond to me, but I think at the end of the day, this is 20-year-old stuff. They probably really don't have a whole lot of use for it, but we will get it back to them and make sure that they receive it in the operational condition it came off the building in. The dates here will tell you what things are going to, they might shift a little bit. I would expect if we get into some buildings and things are going a little less one way or the other, but we'll tell the buildings in advance when we're coming in. Most of the buildings are just thermostatic control and controls to the HVAC or the boiler work. That's the small thing. The 3 big buildings for your purposes are the jail, CSB building, and family services. Those are the 3 that have the greatest amount of work to do on them, and we'll be in there for periods of time. So I just want to make sure that, and we will work with them in that regard. The project is slated to end in 12/13. I gotta be honest with you, I don't think it's gonna take that long, but they contractors, being contractors, they need to take, we'll schedule it. I think we'll find it go a lot faster than that. But we will, they have a 150-day window, they're within their window, but I think we'll see it go through faster than at the end of the day. And I'll be here, and we'll find out what that means for them. HVAC work, let's talk about CSB building. Today the CSB building is working well. The chiller I went and looked at this morning is doing what it's supposed to do. Legitimately, if we take that chiller down, you're 2 to 3 weeks before I put something in place that's gonna cool people. We're in July, I said, we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna wait and change that chiller when we're out of the cooling season. That means it may be sometime in probably mid to late October. And the reason for that, obviously, is to accomplish that. But we also have, in that particular job, we have to do some structural review. We have a structural engineer will be on site Thursday. Take a look at, as you put the new equipment on the roof, it doesn't necessarily fit the same footprint of the stuff that's there now. So we're going to have some steel changes on the roof. And when they do that, there'll be some roof repair that has to be done. There's money to do the steel revisions, there's money to do the roof repairs, basically been put in as an optional cost. It's about $30,000. If it's not spent, we obviously won't charge you any more money. The bill will be less for that portion of the work. But for us to take a real hard look at it, we need to get structural people involved. So they will be there Thursday, and we'll have a better handle on what that work will be sometime, I would imagine, a week, 10 days. And then we can go ahead and begin taking a look at what we have to do with that. But we will not touch that stuff until sometime late October. That brings about 2 other issues. The first one is, obviously, we'll be working there in the cold. That's okay. They get paid to do that. But the more important one is, by not doing it till then, we will not test the system until the spring. What that means to you is the warranty won't begin until the test starts. So rather than have it go in, have warranty start in November, which doesn't really buy anything, we're going to delay it until probably April. And when we do that, then the warranty on the system begins at that point in time. So it gives you a better chance to have issues. If you have issues, they have coverage. The other thing that it will do is, I've told the contractors, we're going to hold the retainage on the project until that's done, to make sure that everything's the way it has to be. So they understand that. We're going to hold those dollars back. Now, when I talk about retainage, you got a 10% element in your contract on retainage. I think at the end of the day, we only need to hold 5%. That's $25,000. That's more than enough incentive to have them come back and do what they have to do. But they really are, it's only going to be testing and checking. It's not going to be an installation type work. So we should be in pretty good shape. So I'll probably send a note to Stacy recommending that you hold retainage of 5% after the job is complete until we do the checking in the spring. With regard to lighting, we didn't we've talked about it, but we never done it. I did have I had all the buildings looked at for lighting. We took a look at what we can do, and legitimately, you got about, I think I forecasted like $95,000. It come back 124. But what also came back was a higher amount of savings on the energy. We're gonna save like $45,000 a year just on energy usage, which was before around 32 or something like that. So we're actually gonna save more money. Rebate dollars are somewhere between $16,000, $18,000. Now, on rebate dollars.
Annually.
No, one time. You get a rebate from AEP one time.
Okay, and
Make it
45,000 is the annual, okay.
Good point. Every year is $45,000 reduction based on what you're paying this year. The rebate is a one-time deal from the utility to help you to.
And you're estimating 95,000 for the cost, so we get a 2-year payback?
I estimated 95, it came in at 124.
Okay, 3-year payback.
It's about 3-year payback when all
Okay.
said and done. But I will tell you that's on today's rates. You know, the strange thing about things, that even though the rates go up, you get more savings. I'd rather not spend the money, but that's what's going to happen to you. You'll fail. But at the end of the day, you're starting at 45,000. That's a project we begin today, and you'll begin to save money right away. And we can do that in 2 ways. One is we could do the bid spec thing where I go out and do the spec. We can do it all the time, and we send it out and have bidders. You'll have bidders from every place in the world. I'm going to tell you, I did one just now lately. I had bidders from all over the state do that job. Or we could take the job and break it up. There's some areas like JFS that has a good portion of work. The GL has some, and we could bid it out in sections. What that does is allows you to bid it, and I can probably just bid it to your local contractors, 3 quotes. We meet the ORC requirements. You can do it to keep the work internally to your community, which is what we try to do. We try to keep it in the county in which the work is being done. So we can take a look at either way. I can do it either way, but I think there's ways you can basically segregate this project and do it without having to go through a major bidding process and still get 3 quotes of good work effort. And we have good contractors, I'm sure you'll be able to get the job done effectively that way.
And this will all be included in the same note, the same project, it's all.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I would, the funding stream is all inside that. It's just a matter of how you decide to do them, if you want to do them one at a time, you want to do a portion now, a portion later, how we want to do it.
Do you guys want to give him some direction at this time? Would you rather?
I can do that pretty quick, and I'll just need to contract your local vendors, if they want to bid it. If they don't, I have vendors who are more local than some
Do
of
you
those.
see a savings advantage by bidding it, or do you think it's going to come out the same either way?
Yes, the savings advantage is about $5,000. If you, by the time you do a bid specification, I put one together, you pay for advertising, it goes out, we come back, you're gonna basically pay that cost, and you're gonna delay the start for the period of time, say, to do a contract and go through that process. You may be 2 months or 2.5 months before you can begin to do the project, based on just normal transfer of a process. So the other way is to get 3 quotes, write it up, send out.
So that's kind of the way you prefer to do it?
I would think that would be preferable to the county because you begin saving money right away. There may be a little bit of cost creep if you do it that way, but I don't think there'll be too much in that regard. I think we're in pretty good shape as far as this is concerned.
Does anybody have any?
I like the idea of, that, like you said, giving that opportunity to our local vendors. There's gonna be a couple of different times.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're gonna have 3 vendors. You got 3 electricians in town. We can do this. If they are not cost competitive, I'll know that, and I'll tell you it's not cost competitive. We should go someplace else and have someone else bid it. But you can still do it within the context of the ORC, doing it within the right range of dollars, and you get the best return for your dollar. But I think you're going to find electrical contractors, electrical lighting people who will do this within your community. And it just keeps dollars here. And that's
I guess that's my preference
Yeah.
as well.
the other thing.
I agree, I would prefer to keep it locally here. I tend to believe if you're gonna do it, let's do the whole thing.
Well, we will do it. We'll do it.
the whole thing, which is estimated at 120,000, right?
Okay, it's about 125,000, which, again, it's a function of how you go about it. If we want to do it all in one big bid spec, we can do that.
He's going to do it all, But he's just gonna break it up so
In
that you
section.
can get it below the bidding specification.
Oh,
I'll do it all. We'll do it all. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. We'll do all of it. But instead of having one bid, we have three. I'll have 3 quotes for each portion of it. And I'll do it 3 times. It's more work for me, but at the end of the day, more work in that portion. We get faster response. You get a chance to get things, the savings come quicker. Otherwise, you won't see savings begin November, December. We can probably do something we'll start seeing in September. So dollars are back to the community faster. So that's where I see the advantage of doing it that way. And it's legitimate, and we're okay, and we keep the money in the community.
Yep.
With regard to that, let's see if I got it right here. So I got this $45,215 is what we think the energy savings will be annually. Rebate dollars. Some groups, their mode of operation and their operational processes are to take a portion of the rebate dollars and keep it as their cost for doing all the submissions, because we'll do all the submittals, we'll make sure the dollars go through. We don't do that. Every dollar comes back to the community. We do not keep that money. It comes right back to you. So it's going to be like $16,000, $18,000, which will come back to general fund. You can do with it as you choose. But there are groups that do keep about 33% themselves. That's not unethical. It's just the way they do business. We don't do it that way. So that's just the process.
how do your fees get paid?
You pay me a fee to do the entire project. There's a fee that you're paying me now to
So
do.
is this in addition to the fee we paid you to do this is all part of what we've already,
I have a contract with the county, the professional service contract, that said at the end of the day, we calculate the cost of the project. I think the cost came back at $945,000.
that includes the lighting or excludes that?
Includes the lighting.
Includes the lighting, okay, that's all part of the.
And my fee was on top of that.
Pardon?
My fee was on top of
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
which was 7% of the total cost of the project.
Okay.
Today, when we get done, I gotta say I'm gonna earn less money. The cost is gonna come in somewhere around, everything included, around $850. So you're gonna actually end up
That is with the lighting system.
with the lighting included. That's
See, he's gonna
exactly.
get
So
all
with
that.
my fees included, you're gonna come in, with my fees included is around $925, but you take my fees out, the project's worth about $850. So we're about 10%, 10% less than what we said. Now, I want you to understand, that's what we try to do. We try to give you a number that you know, this is the high end. We're gonna try to come in underneath that, so we are in that. I just have to go back and tell my boss he's not getting as much money, but that's my problem. That's what he's gonna tell me, it's your problem, so. Roofing, let's talk about the roofs for a second. This building, I say attached to this building is a maintenance building and 2 other roofs, tough shape. We're gonna have those roofs re-roofed. And the cost for it, if you did the metal roof, like for the whole 3 things, which I first looked at, like about $140,000, I said, I'm not gonna do that, because for 3 reasons. One is, first off, wasn't sure how you're gonna use the buildings in the long haul. 2, you can even keep the buildings. And 3, there are probably ways to get 20 years of life without having to go through that cost of doing it. So I brought in 3 vendors, they took a look at it. At the end of the day, your cost to do a rubber roof with insulation, tear off the old stuff, but the low bid was $32,600 and some dollars. $32,641.
And that's for the maintenance building.
Maintenance building and 2 small garages, 2 small buildings attached to it. The maintenance building is a metal roof. Then you have 2 smaller ones. All 3 of those are gonna be done. And they'll also do the eaves trough, so and I got 20-year warranty. Told me to be 20 years. Said, don't even talk to me if you have to bring 20 years back, because I want to talk about it. And they all 3 of them said, yes, we'll do 20 years. I took a look at the bids. Every bid was, all 3 bids within $1,200 of each other. So I know we've got a good number. I'm very confident. I figured it was around 35 to 40,000. They came in at 32. So they're hungry. They want to do the job, and it's a local vendor. So I think that's again, it keeps the money in the community. You get the opportunity to have it done. So
Now, is that also part of the 900?
it is part of the 900.
Okay, I'm just.
At the end of the day, that's why the number dropped, because I didn't have as many dollars. I had more dollars in the roofing, and we dropped it back. I want to go one more step on the roofing. 2 things actually I'm going to tell you. 1, last year in the fall, we did some maintenance work at the jail, at CSB, and the bank associated with it. And I told you at that time, I said, you're gonna have to replace those roofs in 5 years. You're gonna have to replace those roofs. And when you do that, I planned for 2017, that's 5 years from last year. You need to book about $600,000 to do those 3 buildings. You're gonna have to do that. The CSB and a bank over there, we're pushing, but we'll get there. We'll get there. The jail, we may have a little more time, but not a lot. When I was in private sector, I used to say to my bosses would come to me and they'd say, can you get one more year out of this? And I'd always tell them, yeah, I can get one more year out of it, but someday you're gonna want me not to tell you that because it's gonna cost you more money than you really wanna deal with. But there's always a way to get one more year. If anybody tells you you can't get another year out of a roof, they're not telling you the truth. But the truth of this is, at some point you don't wanna do that. You're gonna be at that point in the CSB building, in the bank over there. You're gonna have to do that, those roofs, in 2017. So figure about $300,000 for those 2 buildings and about $300,000 for jail. Just plan on doing it because that's what you're gonna need to do. The jail may fluctuate a little bit. We'll see how things work, but you're gonna be in that arena somewhere. So just kind of wanna get you in the right place to think about it
So
going
we need to
forward.
prepare and start pigeonholing about 600,000 over the next 5 years.
I would say that's a good plan. And again, all that's dependent upon the price of oil, dependent upon the price of product, dependent upon the labor benefit cost. So keep that in mind, that the number I'm giving you it should put you close. It may gravitate a little bit, but at least you're ready.
Is there any funds available from the state or feds on helping us in this process, or is this totally on the burden of the county?
I'm going to tell you now it's on the burden of the county. I will tell you that there are always dollars available. The question is trying to fit in to what they ask of you to do that. You know, there's a lot of strings to money, and sometimes the strings are more painful than the money. If that makes sense to you.
Can you help us with that, or that's something that we need to
We
construct
can-
regional planning, or would you work in unison with them?
We can assist. Well, glad to look. We bring money to projects. Typically, we don't get a lot of grants. There are some grants, but typically the grants are a little more technologically driven. They want to try to drive people towards more technological fixes today than they do maintaining your assets. And that's one of the problems that a lot of communities run into, is they have a lot of asset maintenance, maintaining stuff. People want to deal with that. They want to say, give me new technology, give me a new computer, new wires, new system, and that
Yeah,
creates.
but how about, I mean, just thinking out of the box, in a process of doing some solar panels, which is new technology, which is on the roof, could you kind of incorporate both of those in at the same time? And, well, we can have some Fed money or state money to help us pay for that.
Well-
And then also having further cost savings long-term to the county. I mean, those things, it scares me to think that we gotta start pigeonholing about $125 a year for the next 5 years to be able to take care of this.
Let's take it. There's a number of points there. I'll try to work with them. Solar panels. Solar panels are, I did a project for you. I reviewed solar panels for the county. There are definitively good things to do with solar panels. There are definitively places that they should use, and definitively places that make good sense. In a lot of cases, you need to take a look at where we are in the world. We have the largest amount of cloud cover from September to April. That's the truth, because of the Great Lakes. Great thing, they have a great resource, but that has a lot to do with that. Secondly, if you look at solar panels, and typically they're flat, so they have snow, and you gotta clean them off and try to get. Now they have to kind of adjust and move that, and you can get those. Not always the best fit, not always the right thing. I think passive solar is a lot more effective than trying to generate solar. Passive solar being you collect the sun's rays and you put it in, and it basically runs through a little fan and blows heat into an area. That's a good thing. And solar panels of the kind you're talking about, out in the freeway to do lights, in parks to take care of lighting in restaurants, great stuff. But we're still, if you pay $1 for electricity that's generated by coal or gas, you pay about $7 for that same kW for solar. And it's not solar is a good thing, and the price will drop. As technology, the price was a couple of years ago, $10. So as technology comes forward, there'll be an opportunity to use more of it. But, so the answer to your question is yes, you can get some dollars to do that. But the other side of that is, after you got it installed, you gotta maintain it. And that comes to another cost involved. And I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't consider it, I'm just saying, know what you're gonna do when you get into it, that there's some other cost involved.
We looked at solar panels in the jail. There's a company that was really
Yeah.
pushing that and wanted to sign a long-term agreement, and it just didn't pencil out.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's the first I've heard that. If it's
Yeah.
dollar versus coal, $7 worth of.
And typically,
That's a
but
no-brainer.
you have to consider what you're asking it to do and where you should use it. I mean, there's a lot of places it doesn't pay to run services out to run an electric light. But if solar panel out there, especially, take parks, take, Metro Parks in Toledo, they got them out in their restaurants, which makes a heck of a lot of sense. When you talk about on freeways doing those little flashy light things, makes a lot of sense. If you talk about passive solar, just collecting arrays and letting them dump in, makes a lot of sense. So we gotta kind of figure out what you've got. And there are definitely some places that you do it. And if I lived in Arizona, I'd say, give it to me. I'm all over it, because there's things you can do with it. It's tough to do here. And I'm not saying it's wrong, we're saying there's probably some occasions, but this.
I was kind of looking at it from the technology standpoint of offsetting the cost of our $600,000 for the roofs, but you kind of
Am I saying you can do that?
pull
but-
that away
but
when.
There's the
you
maintenance
look at
cost on the other side of that
operations
you gotta
costs.
do.
Save us today, cost us tomorrow.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
And that will change as we go forward, I'm sure, but right now, I think it's where you're at. Let's talk about the Hillsview bids are all within $1,200. They can do gun network now. They're under 50,000. We just write an order. They're good. It's a local firm. I think you'll be happy with they've done work here before. Last thing, roof maintenance. If you remember, last fall I was here and I engaged JB to do some roof maintenance over at CSB, the bank, and the jail. And I think I'm going to recommend strongly that you continue to do this. Probably going to cost you for the CSB building, the bank, and if they do this, they'll begin doing this after they do the repair, every 6 months or at least once a year, but preferably twice. About $850, let them come in and go through it. I went up on top of the bank, and see, I got a tree growing out of the roof. It's never a good day when you go on the roof and there's a tree growing. So you gotta figure out, let's not do that, and you're not in that spot now.
So $850 is to have a roofing contractor come in and inspect all of our roofs within
Just
the county
flashing.
once a year,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
make minor repairs, or that's just to inspect
No,
it?
he'll make some minor repairs. He's got everything measured. There'll be a cost to it. But one of the things that I look at, I go look at the flashing all the time, the coping on top of it, make sure that they're not leaking, that they're repaired. That's what they do. And and what you're trying to do is extend the life of those roofs for 4 more years. And that's a cheap investment to get you out there, because otherwise you got to come up with that $600,000 earlier. And you don't want to do that. So our intent is to try to help you delay that long-term capital and help you maintain your buildings. It's not a big issue, but it's something you really need to do. The jail, I'll get a cost. I asked them to give me a cost. They hadn't gotten back to me this morning on what the cost to do to maintain the jail. Same thing. We want to extend it out there to do that. The $850 is for
So the $850 is only for the buildings downtown?
no
Not the
this
jail.
buildings and the 2 over there. If it's about
Okay.
$500 to this building, about $500 to that. I said, give me a combined price. It's $850 to do the CSB building, the bank, and these buildings here. I said, fine, we can, well, so then give me a price on the jail. They were going to look at it. The jail has some issues, but I don't think they are insurmountable. I think you're gonna pay some more maintenance costs there, because you got a lot of flat space, a lot of flat roof to deal with, so. That's there. I think I've probably covered, payback. I'm doing this at my own, shouldn't do this, but I'll do it. I did run the numbers, because I'm a numbers kind of guy. And that's the worst part about me sometimes. I like numbers. And my wife says that I don't make enough numbers. I would say, yes, dear, very well. This gives you an idea of, and I told you about the numbers of what the project looked like in total. This tells you what your savings are and what your payback's 8.1 years, 8.08. That's what's paid. Now, let me tell you about these projects. These projects typically have a payback in 12 or 13 years. This is the project we've taken here, are the good projects for the county that you can make return on. Some of the things that you were looking at before were roofs. We've extended the life of some of them, and we put someone back, say you don't need to go do that right now. Doesn't mean that you don't do that, it just means you don't do it today. You don't have to take as much debt on today to do some of those things. We're just trying to keep the debt load down, get the return you need to have on your energy, let your energy costs pretty much pick the cost of paying things back, or however you choose to do that. So, is that me? Hope not. When I just want to make sure that you got, these are the actual numbers in the contracts that you have out there. The lighting is basically an estimate, but it's pretty close. And then the integration is a software integration to allow you to control all your buildings. That contract we did earlier. And then there's my fee. I actually end up making less money, but don't worry about that. That's my problem. And that's, I'll be honest with you, this is the other side of the coin that we do. And I'll get shot for saying this, but it's the reality. We give you a number, we try to make sure that the number of the project is real. We come in at $945,000 plus, it ends up being about $850, $860. If we go over, let's say the project builds up, but we don't have to put any more work into it, we don't charge anymore either. In other words, because the bids come in greater than what we had estimated, but there was no more work for us, we don't get paid anymore. We get paid what we originally agreed to. So, just so you know that we do try to, our function is to help the counties become more efficient and try to provide ways to do that. This is one of the things we do, so I'm not asking for anything, but just telling you that's the reality of what we do. Any questions?
Awful lot of information.
Yeah, I know, I wish I couldn't do it, and I'm glad to come back on a more regular basis. No different way, I'm glad to do that.
I like to give direction after, it is my feeling that we need to proceed with the lighting
Okay?
part of it, and I like the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, break it down.
Yeah.
To keep it under, the bidding process, try to deal local, as long as, I like to deal local as much as possible, but I don't like to spend more money.
Understood. I
As
agree.
long as we take your direction and your leadership there, and if you say, hey, this is in line, okay? If it's not, then I think that we gotta let it up for the larger bidding process.
Well, no, you don't have to do that. Let me reflect that. I want to keep it focused on your local electrical workers, electrical contractors here, and lighting contractors. If they're not in line, we can still go get somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we'll
And not
take
have
your
to
direction.
you don't have to go out and do a bid process. We can just get quotes from somebody else.
Yeah.
And what I'll probably do, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna get a measuring quote outside the community. And say, here's the community number, and here's the measuring quote outside, and what you got. And I guess we can do that. And I think that'll help you. It'll also help the contractors. Hey, we want to be in the game. What do we got to do here to get there? And that's a good thing. So,
The other thing is, I assume what you're looking for is direction from the commissioners to go forward with these projects, right? That have already,
actually, you're already in the project.
so it doesn't make any difference.
The only thing that we haven't gone forward with, there's only two. You need to do the roofs, you need to do the lighting. The controls and the HVAC
Yeah.
thing, that's all right, that's on the road, that's moving.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's what, I get the lighting, the roof for the maintenance, and the CSB, the $850 a year.
Yeah, that's something,
Yeah, those-
I strongly recommend you do
Yeah,
that.
and I believe that we've already got it budgeted in there, that we do the roof and under the maintenance building, the 32,000.
Yeah.
To go forward
It's
with that.
in the number.
Yeah, I strongly recommend that we do the once a year look through with minor repairs at $850, that is the
I
way
would- I would
I'd
agree.
like to see us prolong that 5 years to 6 or 7. And with a little TLC, we may be able to do it, because again,
We can do it.
I come back at $600,000 chunk, I don't think we have 100,000 we could start setting aside right now.
That's something we'll have to kind of remember, because
Yeah.
once the project's done, he's
Well,
just
I would
kind
like,
of
I would
on
like to
call.
think you'd call me back for different things, and I'm sure that you will. I'm just one of those kind of guys,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, you're correct. You need to put that into some kind of a particular file, say, this is coming up. And you can always say, hey, can you revisit this to see where we are? Can we get another year out of it? And I'm gonna tell you, yes, you can get another year, but I'm gonna tell you.
I get what you're saying,
But
yeah.
at some point in time, you might say, hey, don't take that year. CSB and the bank, 2017 is your year. Okay, you might be able to segregate that, do that 1 year, maybe, I'll do some investigation on jail. If we get any more out of it, I'll tell you. But I'm not gonna tell you, stand here without being a little more inquisitive about what's going on up there. That's a pretty big size, flat roof, and they can deteriorate very quickly.
The jail.
Jail.
Well, my feeling is we proceed with the lighting, we proceed with the maintenance building here, and certainly I would be supportive that we do once a year.
As you get, I'll give you one other thing. As you get closer to the 2017 window, I might tell you, let's do it twice a year. Because it might be, once you get a little deterioration, you want to make sure you got it under
Yeah,
control.
you don't wanna miss it by 6
So you might
months.
want to think about that.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you for the information.
This-
Well, and again, during the project, I'm willing to come in at any schedule you'd like and kind of keep you posted as we go through. Again, it starts around the 19th. We got some things to do, and we'll work our way through it.
This might be more for our staff than for you, but we want to make sure we work with Jill and keep her on track
Yes,
with
I was going
that,
to ask you about that.
with that
She's got a grant for
CDBG
$100,000.
grant. Yeah, that's worth like 128,000 for the HVAC over there, so let's all keep our heads together and keep reminding
Yeah.
her to get all
That
the
will
paperwork done.
offset some of our cost here.
Yeah, that's her,
It
that's,
can-
Last year, we did the block grants this year, we did it for Bettsville, Boonville, whatever. Last year, the commissioners awarded it to ourselves for the HVAC on that building. Actually, we were the only applicant, so it was an
Yeah.
easy award. So we have to make sure all the paperwork is done on time and correctly to get that.
Okay, so that 922 budget now is approximately 120-some thousand. Less than that.
128,000, yes.
128, okay. So that takes us down to 800,000, and I'm going
now
back.
you got money to put forward for your roof.
Well, it's borrowed.
Yeah,
money, so-
and the payback, what was the projected savings with, forget the lighting, forget the initial thing that you're doing for the.
The HVAC's like $12,000 a year. I think it's the second one on the list right there.
Yeah.
HVAC has payback 6.78 years.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
So the first line is the cost, second line is the savings, third line is the payback years. That's what we believe based on where we're at. And I want to remind you, in that, in the numbers, about $60,000 of contingency funds, which was $30,000 for the steel work and the roof work at CSB, another $30,000 in the controls. And the reason I put that in there is I don't like coming back and asking for more money. And then secondly, I like to come back and say, we don't need as much. My boss doesn't like when I say that, but I have to come back and say, this is what you need. So you've paid me 2/3, or probably more. I won't bill you for the remainder of our fee until the job is done. Then we'll see what the total number is, and I'll bill you according to that.
And the HVAC is going in this fall. is what
It'll go in the fall, it'll go in sometime late October, early November, and at that point, we will not test it, we'll wait till the spring.
I assume that's when Jill completes her paperwork, is when it.
She was supposed to have it ready, I think, September.
Okay.
She was working towards that kind of a window. I haven't spoken to her lately, but that's where she was at.
And Jeff, are we borrowing this from ourselves? Is this what was
This is what we
decided?
talked about a while ago.
Okay, that we're borrowing this from ourselves at zero interest versus bonding it, or?
That was the decision the
Yeah,
board made.
yeah, okay, I just
a month
wanted to.
ago.
Actually,
refresh my
I'll be
memory.
honest with you, you are one of the few counties, I'm serious, I'm in, right now, I'm actively working in 6 counties. You are the only county, it's not correct, one of only 2 counties that's doing it. Most of them are going out and bonding, and the project had to get done. So doing what you're doing is by far the least cost alternative, and you're doing the right things in that. I mean, I can say that because I'm looking at all the counties I work in. I said, it's, some of them are much worse shape. For as much effort and time as it's taken to do this project, you got pretty good shape. You got a lot of things out there, but it could be a lot worse. I've seen them working with a lot worse.
That's good.
We don't want to be there.
No, you don't want to be there, and you're not going to be there. You're not going to be there, and those people who are there don't want to be there either. And they're getting out of there, but it's a tough call. It's a tough place. And assets are the most difficult things to put money into, and the most needed element of what you do. It's what your constituents pay for, and that's tough. Okay,
All right, well, thank you very much.
thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I don't know how to get a hold of you. Any public comment at this point? Yes, ma'am.
Tiffin Oil. I'm curious, does the county general fund have a repair and maintenance fund set aside that a yearly amount is set aside to deal with roofs and all these things that need to be repaired, rather than coming to a point, where you have to borrow close to $1 million?
Yeah.
That I think that setting aside some of the 1.2 million carryover each year into a repair and maintenance fund makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's down to $1 million now.
Well, yeah.
We spent
yeah.
200,000 last week.
Last week, okay.
We
And the
budget,
answer to that is there.
we budget some in the, maintenance.
215. We also
Yeah,
have
yeah,
our
sure.
215 for our capital improvements fund. We currently have revenue from our leases, rental spaces, the farm lease, the FSA, Hope Roy's. It all goes straight into 215, and that's for capital
How
improvements.
much is that?
We've-
Roughly.
Currently, it's got 400,000 from the previous year for the courthouse in it, plus it's got probably about 100,000 with all the rentals and leases from last year and this year.
It's about 100, I like the
So it's about
400,000
100
for
a
the
year.
courthouse to be completely separate.
Yeah, we keep that,
So we have revenue of about 100,000 a year that comes in that can be utilized for projects such as what you're talking about.
correct.
plus the maintenance folks get an allocation for the routine type maintenance, fixing a window and whatever.
That's 150, 200,000 a year, I thought.
I couldn't tell you the amount off the top of my head.
Including jail and our regular maintenance, because we separate the two. It's probably about, I think it was 400,000 for all.
With the jail. but
That's contract services, and that's including utilities, and that's including, it's not just
Yeah, that's not a
contract
fair.
repair. Right, it's not a fair,
Because that's paying the electric bill too.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's right.
So maintenance probably has a minimal amount just for repairing windows and broken this and that.
The total with payroll excluding utilities, I recall when I looked at it a few months ago, was 200,000, roughly 200,000. It's payroll, and then, so there's not a lot. When you got, what, 3 maintenance people, salaries come out of that,
Yep, we have 4 maintenance and
4
1
maintenance
cleaning.
people, 4 maintenance people, plus the cost for repairs, roughly 200,000, so not a lot. A bigger pool would be more of the revenues that we generate from the renting the county facilities and so forth and so on. That's,
And we just started doing that
Yep,
2 years ago at the
Yep.
most, maybe.
Yep. yep, we wanted to find a direct revenue source for 215, because there's never been a direct revenue source to that in our leases and rentals. It's not a huge amount, but it's enough that it helps. It definitely helps setting aside that
minor
money.
issues, not necessarily roofs.
Right.
I just want to, I'll add one thing. The number of square feet that you have under roof, the amount of money you're paying in maintenance, you're getting a very, very good return for your dollar. Typically, it's, you would find more dollars expended, and in some cases, even more dollars expended doesn't necessarily mean that the buildings are in as good a condition. The buildings are in pretty good shape. You've got these necessary repairs, but they're generally in pretty good shape. So I think you're getting a very good return on a dollar you're investing in that process. Just from my experience of looking at buildings and being in counties and seeing stuff.
Thank you. Other public comments?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything-
Thank you again.
Anything else from the board at this time?
I have nothing else.
I just want to mention that I was approached by the museum, the foundation, and they've got some repairs that they would like to have done on the museum, on the porches and so forth. And they're willing to pay for those, but they ask if the county could put together, and actually what we would do is we would have the repairs, we'd let it out for bid, and it's going to fall under state requirements. They believe it's going to be around 20,000, and that the county would pay for it, and then the foundation would reimburse us for it. So
This is for the porch.
Yeah, the porch,
They
yeah.
had talked about doing that porch some time ago when they did this. They did some windows a while back.
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate all that they do for those extra little things like that.
Yeah, so,
That's the way we did the windows, wasn't it? We bid them? and-
Yeah, we
and
got,
then
they
reimbursed?
actually got the quotes for us, and we contracted with the contractor. They donated the money to us. This is a bigger project, so we could do a contract where we can pay it up front and they can reimburse us for it if we put that in the contract. That wouldn't be a problem.
There's a way to do it.
yeah,
Yep.
that's just kind of an FYI. It's not gonna take any county monies. The county, they just asked if we would facilitate the bidding process, and we would fall under state, the minimum, which I guess is 50,000. We're gonna be way under that, so we don't have to go through the
Formal bid. we
formal
just get
bidding process, and I've contacted some local contractors that do that kind of things, and I'll help facilitate that, but I just wanted to kind of inform the board, that's what we're doing, but it's not county monies. It'll be reimbursed by the foundation for it.
You have any problem with?
No,
that?
I'm assuming, now, do they have the money now, or are they in the process of collecting that money? I don't know what their finances are like.
I believe the foundation has the funds available.
Okay. If not, I'm sure they feel confident they would get them, I'm just curious. Okay.
And we would have to have assurances that before we let a bid out, that there's reimbursements. They would have to approve the bid so that we know that there's funds available. What we would spend, they would reimburse us for.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Anything
That's
else?
it.
Anything else from you? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
We're adjourned at 11:21. Thank you all for coming.
I may have to start doing these meetings.